so cool to see everyone here. This is a topic which is very special to me. My name is Jared. I live in New York City. I moved here a few months ago. I'm very passionate about social media, online communication, digital tech. I work in crisis communications, and when it comes to building safer experiences on social media, I feel quite lucky in a way that I grew up when Facebook came up, when Instagram came up, when TikTok became a thing, and now social media is so ingrained in our lives, whether you are a creative, whether you are a professional, or just someone who wants to use social media to talk to their friends and family. And this is a topic that I've been speaking about for the last 4 or 5 years. I presented versions of this to students, to primary school students, to teachers, to parents, to C-suite executives. And every time I do a session like this, I feel like it's a topic that kind of resonates with a lot of people. That sometimes when we are online, it can be a very unsettling and sometimes unsafe experience. And I have a belief, and I'll ram this through as we go through the slides here, that I believe that everyone deserves to feel safe online. And I think from the news that we see on how social media has changed, how our data is being used, how monetization and adverts have taken over our feeds, that maybe the people that run these platforms maybe don't have our privacy and safety in mind sometimes. However, there are steps I think that we can take to try to encourage us to take it into our own hands, to try create safer experiences for us. And I was looking at the comments just then in the chat about how people are feeling about being safe. And yeah, it's something that seems to resonate very well with everyone. There's a few slides I'll go through here, and the aim of this presentation is really just to give you some considerations, some tips and tricks around approaching safety online and how it's not a black and white approach. I don't have the time to go through every single social media platform and every single setting on there, but there are opportunities at the end where I'll give some details if you want to reach out to me offline. This is a purely passion project for me. And the reason for that is that I've been making content for over 10 years online, especially starting on YouTube back in 2012. I was doing gaming and tech stuff back then. And as an Asian guy making YouTube videos with me on camera, there was a lot of hate I would get. There were discriminatory comments, there was racist comments, there were comments that weren't very nice. And I spent so much time when I was younger deleting, muting comments to make sure the rest of my audience doesn't experience that. And since then, I've been trying to understand, okay, how can I talk about this to encourage everyone to try and build a safer experience, because we all deserve it. Absolutely. So this is me. I live in New York. I'm Australian. I was talking to Lauren about this. Funny that we're both from Australia, from different parts, which is great. I've been working professionally in crisis reputation management for the last 7 years in a corporate position, which has moved me to different countries. And in this role, it just became part of it that social media safety became very important, especially as our leaders in the company became more active on profiles like LinkedIn and Twitter, or now X. It just became more important to make sure that they're not receiving trolls, ranting comments, and experiencing things that they do not expect when they talk online. And now I'm trying to spread that information to every single person out there. So to set the stage here, for my research, I've discovered that 64% of American adults have experienced online harassment. And a big theme of this presentation is that harassment is not a black and white descriptor. It covers things like cyberbullying. It covers things like receiving messages or photos that you don't like, or receiving any kind of interaction that makes you feel uncomfortable. There's no definition to it apart from the one that you set yourself. I read a lot of things online about the metrics of, yeah, X% of people get cyberbullied online, but they don't go into the details as to why and how individuals feel when it comes to it going through that experience. And I think it's really important to take this down to an individual level and to encourage everyone to understand themselves, the experience that they want to have online, and then take the steps to kind of to eradicate that. And 64% is a huge number, and it's growing. There's about 5 billion different social media users around the world, and we spend a lot of time on these platforms, and there's a lot of opportunity more than ever now to interact and reach out to people. I think back in the day, it used to just be like on Facebook, you'd message your friends and family, you have a big wall where you post stuff. Now you can receive messages, you can receive videos, people can go live, people can DM you out of the blue now. It's like an open playground for people that may want to cause a bit of pain. And I really hope that we can take steps to stop that. So if you open up your phone, and I'm really bad at this, but and you count the amount of social media platforms you have downloaded right now on your phone, the average is nearly about seven that we have. And the difficult thing about this is that every single platform we use is different. So there's not one monopoly company that owns everything. That would be really bad. But it's important to understand that every single platform has its own rules, its own policies, its own features, and its own approach to privacy. From the array of different social media platforms out there, some of them have a platform that is for youth, like YouTube Kids, and some platforms like LinkedIn and Facebook or Twitter, X, or Instagram, there is kind of like a one app only, and they have to kind of create a blanket policy around safety and privacy for everyone. And when the entry age for these platforms is meant to be 13 and up, that's a big range of ages that we're supposed to cater to when it comes to how people feel safe online. And for me, I don't care how old you are or how you started to use the platforms. Again, you deserve to have the experience that you wish to have. So on top of that, we spend a lot of time on social media, and I work in the field. I spend way too much time on this stuff, and I'm sure we've all spent time scrolling just through our feeds and seeing stuff that we don't like, whether it's advertisements, seeing content we don't like, political ads, ads about hate, especially during COVID and the recent things with Black Lives Matter and Stop Asian Hate. There's a lot of stuff that spreads, whether it's misinformation, disinformation, things that can affect us in each different way. And the message I want to say is that regardless of what you've seen and how you feel, it's completely valid. If you're feeling hurt by something that you've seen online, that's not okay. It's not okay, and you deserve to see the things that that you wish to experience when using the platforms. So keep in mind the amount of platforms that you use. You might realize that your digital footprint is a bit larger than you would realize. And there are potentially other platforms in the past, like MySpace, that maybe you used growing up or in the past that also had similar experiences on it. Some of these platforms still exist in the long term, and in some cases, their policies around safety haven't really changed too much. So to add on top of all this here, we are more public than ever before. Whether we like it or not, if we apply for jobs, now we have a LinkedIn account in most cases. And on our LinkedIn accounts, there's an incredible amount of private information about us that maybe we wouldn't have shared a couple decades ago. If you go even to my LinkedIn account, you can go on there and see my entire work history, my name, links to websites and things, stuff I've posted, every country I've worked and probably lived in. And this is information I was told growing up, never share your date of birth, your phone number, your location. But now it's like the norm, and you have to do it because recruiters are interested in this information. As creatives as well, whether you're freelance and trying to find work or you're applying for work, your portfolio, your visual portfolio has become a part of that process. And I'm sure with all the creatives in here, we know that that process can be a vulnerable process. We share a little bit about ourselves when we create the beautiful pieces of art and creations that you put together. Do we kind of feel forced now that we have to be public, we have to be accessible, and in some cases vulnerable? We find that we have to stand up for things, we have to be vocal about things. And all these things I think are positive in a way, but I believe that it's important for us to be able to do it in a way that doesn't affect us in a negative way. We should all be able to feel open and comfortable in sharing this information. But this is where the stakes are in 2024. And this is why this session in particular is focused on creatives and professionals, because we are extremely public now, and it's very easy to find our information. One of the quotes I put in the event was, like, when you feel safe, your voice becomes a beacon of authenticity. And I truly believe that if we all were to feel safe every single day, whether we're online or walking around the world, I think we would hear more voices from people. And I think we're in a world right now where we all deserve to share our voices and be heard. And I hate the idea that a social media platform, because of the amount of hate and the amount of things on there that make you unsafe, is preventing people from doing that. I think we all deserve a little bit better. And that's my belief around this. The key question I like to set up here is how do you define safety? And this is again, there's no black and white here because we all have a different perception of why we're using social media. And this is why it's important. We have to give purpose to the platforms that we are using. So when I do these sessions, I don't talk solely about like safety is these three features that you've got to click on your settings. It's very different to that because all of us have a different perception. We all have different goals here. So the key thing I like to ask is, what are you trying to achieve when you are using a particular social media account? So for example, are you on there because you want to gain visibility to yourself? Do you want to access networks? Do you want people to know about you and the work that you're doing? Are you working for not-for-profit? You need that visibility. Are you trying to find a job? Totally valid way to approach this. Are you looking for a community? Online communities, especially during lockdown, became like a life raft for many people because we couldn't meet physically. We all went online. I was playing a lot of video games with people online during lockdown because there wasn't too much to do, but you make friends from that. And that was the reason I was using those certain platforms. Maybe you want to network for jobs, friends. It could be meetup groups, these kind of things. Do you want to be an influencer, which is also totally valid? And I think it's really important because the amount of money and focus that influencers have nowadays in the marketing process is massive. And I have a younger brother who's turning 18 this year, and he loves the idea of potentially being an influencer. And I never would have said that when I was younger, but that's a very valid thing to use a platform for. You want to be a thought leader. Many of the C-suite executives I've spoken to over the last couple of years, they want to be a thought leader in their particular field, whether it's sustainability, or it's in diversity and inclusion, or different aspects like that, or different things that maybe you want to watch live events like sport, or live stream yourself, or back to the beginning of time where it was just as simple as just wanting to speak to your family and friends. I do miss those days sometimes when it was that easy. It's a bit different now, unfortunately. So that's the first stage. Try to understand what you're trying to achieve when using a social media platform. The next stage after that is asking, okay, cool. I want to do this, but what features and tools do I need from a platform to achieve this? And this is where it becomes a bit more practical and a bit more physical. So for example, do you need the ability to message people? Very basic thing, but not all platforms have messaging features. Most of them do, but this is something that you need. If you want to be an influencer, you want to speak to family, you need to message people somehow. Do you want to be able to post images? There are platforms out there, new ones like AirChat, or back in the day when Twitter wasn't as image focused as it was very text focused. If you want an image platform, as an example, Instagram is really popular. Is there a certain like a technology that you need? Is it AI technology? Is there a certain feature that makes a platform stand out? A great example here is live streaming on Twitter or Instagram Live or TikTok Live and things like that. Is that a specific technological feature that you need to do to achieve your goal? Is the audience there for you? For example, I don't think you'll find, I mean, you may find a job on Facebook, but I think maybe LinkedIn might be a better option for you to go and get that audience you need to get a job. Or do you just need simple text posting? You just need to send something to someone that's just text. It could be as simple as that, but it's important to lay out this perspective when you're trying to assess a social media platform. And the reason we do this is because we need to combine it with the safety features available for us. So if I'm able to send an image to someone, but that image is public to everyone, there's no way for it to be public, there's no way for it to be one-to-one, maybe that platform isn't the one for me to achieve that goal safely. Does this platform have blocking features? Do you have the ability to report bad content on there? Do you have the ability to lock down your account, passwords, two-factor authentication, things like this? Are there safety policies involved? And not all of them across the platforms are the same. Is there moderation? Can you control who comments, who responds to you? Can you control that audience? And most importantly here, can you control the access to your private information? We spoke about LinkedIn before, but I'm going to jump into a quick case study here around private profiles on Instagram. I privated my profile. This is how it looks when it's private. And when we see the word private on Instagram, we assume that we're gone, like we're invisible. But that's not the case, because even though I'm not logged in and I just found my private account, there's a bunch of personal information available here. My profile image is available, and people could use that to find more about me. My username is available. And if I use the same username across all of my other social media platforms, they can find me through that very quickly. Threads, if you have a Threads account, it's now attached to your Instagram, whether you like it or not. And the privacy features are different between Threads and Instagram. So you got to keep that in mind. Your name could be up there. And if you have an external link to a personal website or to other platforms, that is also available. So suddenly, when it says there that this account is private, it isn't really that private in the end. And this is an example of if I'm trying to communicate with people or post something online, and my aim is just to do that, and I've chosen Instagram as the social platform to do this in, checking the privacy settings shows that it's not as private as I thought or assumed it would be. So this is why it's important to go through that process of assessing what are you trying to accomplish, what tools do you need to accomplish that, and what safety protocols you need to do it in a safe way. So that's a case study I brought up a lot because it threw me for a while because I was like, I'm private, no one can see me. And I'm like, wait a minute, everyone can see me. So it's not private at all. A great way to test if your account is private is to grab the URL of your profile, whether it's Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, Instagram, whatever it is, and open up an incognito window. Hopefully this plays, it is playing, cool. And paste that link into an incognito window. So you're treating it in the way as if you're a random stranger out there trying to see your account. And what appears there is public to everyone. And this is a great way to quickly assess what is out there for you about you without maybe, or maybe without you even knowing. So this is my LinkedIn account. I've set the privacy settings pretty high in it. I still want it to be found, but I still don't want my full work history to be made on Google to everyone. I want you to at least have an account before looking at my thing here. But even that, you can still see my photo. You can see where I live. You can see a link to my personal website. And I recommend every now and then going through your existing social media accounts, grabbing a link and just going through this process and seeing what's there and questioning if you're comfortable with it. LinkedIn's a good example because there's many features they give where you can lock down different parts of the profile or go completely off search, like on Google. Other platforms like Instagram, like I just showed, you don't have those options. What is there is there. You can't really edit that too much. So definitely keep this in mind. But this is a strategy I've used for a while, especially for C-suite executives. I have a case study where I had executive love to post the flights that they were going on around the world and not realizing that their Facebook account was public. And I was like, maybe let's not do that. Let's maybe private the account a little bit because she thought she was talking to friends, but it's not the case. But it's also a reason why social media platforms just sometimes just don't have that proactivity when it comes to your safety. So this is a good little strategy I recommend doing. Very simplistic to do, but it's can be a bit scary what you see that's been public on there this whole time. The next case study I want to talk about is the concept of multiple accounts. And I think this is a call for creatives and professionals. I'm sure we have some of us here have multiple Instagram accounts, maybe we have multiple YouTube accounts, emails, phone numbers, all these kind of different things. But the concept of having multiple accounts can be quite an effective strategy. And this means basically you can have a private and a public account. Just one example, you can have 10 accounts if you're able to manage that. I can't, I already have too many platforms, but having the concept of just having a private and a public one can be quite an effective approach. So for example, if you have one that's just for your friends and family, so when you chill at home, it's you and the people that you physically know. Maybe this account is private to whatever extent private means on that particular platform. You're using a different username or pseudonym, or maybe you're using your original AOL MSN Messenger name from back in the day that no one will ever know about till, unless it's a close friend. Using something that doesn't identify you specifically as you. And this is where maybe you can focus on posting that personal kind of content, stuff that is just for friends and family, whether it's travel photos or what you're doing during your day, or even if you just want to do a live stream of you sitting in a park to just people that you know. And this is a great method to keep that there while separating away from having a profile for your audience, your professional audience, your connections, your networks, and all these kind of different things where you look all professional. It's a public account, public facing. You have your actual name there or whatever sense of that for you. and you use any post portfolio content, your career successes, your amazing art, your music, your poetry, all these things that represent you in your professional or creative professional life. And this is a great method to stay in control of your presence. And then it's up to you, though, to make sure that the lines don't get blurred across here. And this is why it comes to this great concept, which we all learned when we were younger, of think before you click. And this still holds to this day. How many times on LinkedIn or Facebook have we accepted connections or accepted friend requests without actually fully knowing who that person is? And whenever I see my friends on Facebook with like 10,000, 11,000 friends, I'm always like, okay, I think you're just clicking the accept button. And the same issue with a LinkedIn as well. People are connecting with others without fully knowing them. And in some cases, that's okay, because maybe you want to network with them, but you have to be aware that you're opening up the opportunity for them to contact you in different ways, such as private messages. They can see more information about you, especially on Facebook. You basically open the network to your photos, your past posts, everything. And so it's really important to still think about before you click that accept button, who are they, and do you really know who they are? And if it even is their real account. The way I personally have things set up now is I have personal accounts, yeah, for friends and family, and I'm very strict. If people want to get in there, I like, okay, do I know you? If you're a friend from 20 years ago and we haven't spoken in a decade, I don't think I will probably put you in there. But yeah, but that's just different ways to approach it. And again, it's not a one size fit all approach. If you want to have 10 different accounts for all your different endeavors, absolutely go for it. But just try to keep in mind the purpose of those accounts, and keep them as secure as possible. Because once the lines get blurred, it's like it's chaos and it's hard to go back from that. So keep that in mind. I'm going to run through some other quick tips here with some live demos of stuff. So the concept of selecting your audience. So here I am on LinkedIn writing like the greatest post ever, and I want to make sure this goes to a specific audience. And on LinkedIn, there's a great feature before you post where you can select who can see it. And even if you have a private account on LinkedIn, you can still post to everyone in public, by the way. And once you do that and you hit post, you can't revert it. It stays as is. So one option to make sure before you post is to select and make sure the audience that you're going to is the one that you want. And if you're on a platform that doesn't offer this and you want a specific audience, take a second to reconsider if this is the social media platform that you really want to use for this purpose. Next one here, I was on Twitter or X writing another incredible post, but I only wanted to select who could respond to me. And on Twitter, it's really cool that you can select who can reply, whether it's everyone, people that you follow, verified accounts, or people that you have mentioned. So for example, if you want to have a constructive debate with someone online, specific people, you can set up a post on Twitter or X where you mention certain people and only they can respond to you. No one else is able to respond, and you can keep a constructive dialogue going through and hopefully avoid trolls, ranting people, negative stuff coming through. That is not the experience that you want. Great example here, and I wish all platforms allowed this because it's quite effective. Unfortunately, when it comes to many of these platforms, we're dealing with keyboard warriors, we're dealing with bots and trolls all the time. So any feature that we can get access to control that, I really recommend considering to use that. And the last option here is to build a close friends list, where if you see on Instagram, there's an option to select close friends and a little green bubble appears around your story when you post. This is a concept where on some platforms you can create little micro groups of people that you can post stuff specifically to. So Instagram has this, LinkedIn has this as well to an extent. And it's a great way, if you don't want to have multiple accounts, to control who sees what. But keep in mind, people can always screenshot and share, but at least you have the ability to control how fast something goes and have that visibility of it. So these are the three key examples that I expect as features from social media platforms to have. And again, it's all about meeting the goal that you want. If it doesn't have these features, maybe reconsider what you're posting or that platform in its entirety. And again, I'm going back. I feel like I'm going back to all the old stuff we were told growing up. But once it's out there, it's out there. It's become so easy now to to find old stuff from the Wayback Machine. People are screenshotting stuff all the time now. Deleting something just doesn't work anymore, and therefore taking that process that we've discussed in the last 30 minutes of posting and making content on a particular platform, just be aware that once you hit that post button and you put it out there, it's there. And look, we've all made mistakes. I've posted stuff online, especially when I was younger, that maybe I shouldn't have posted, you know. Um, and it's just about learning from those experiences and kind of moving forward with it. But it's and we see it all the time from celebrities, from politicians, yeah, friends and families. My mom has posted baby photos of me to the public without me being aware of that. And I was like, thanks, mom. Not everyone knows what I look like as a baby. That's great. So just keep that in mind when you're posting things out there, that there's just kind of no way back from it overall. Some other features to look out for on each platform that you're using here. So we talked about comment moderation. You know, does a platform allow you to measure who can respond to you? We spoke about that just before with Twitter. Can you hide and delete comments? This is another good one. I gave the example when I was younger making YouTube videos, I would get some discriminatory stuff on YouTube. Back then, there wasn't a hide option. Like, it was just like a delete and that's it. Nowadays, there are some platforms where you can hide content without the original poster knowing about it. Facebook's a great example here, and that's a good way to keep that content away from your profile and not alert the other person that you're trying to hide it. Because sometimes you can delete someone's thing and they're like, hey, why'd you delete my why did you delete my comment? And they'll come back even stronger. This gives you that kind of mid-ground here, but there are some platforms like LinkedIn where there are no hide option. It's just delete. And last one is, can you report content? And I could do a whole other presentation on reporting, and we can debate if it's even effective or not. But normally, when you report something on a platform, it will report the content under a particular field, but also block them for you as well. It's just important to understand how effective that is on that platform at the moment. I know Twitter at the moment are changing their blocking features, where block doesn't really mean block anymore. I'm still waiting to hear what that means. But this is a constantly changing universe. So just keep that in mind. The other here was around audience selection. Can you select who can see your stuff? Can you adjust who can see it? And when in the process? Does it have to be before you post? Can it be after? And can you verify who that audience is? So if I'm able to post on LinkedIn to just my connections, I'm able to verify it's just to the couple hundred people there. If you can't see that, just make sure you're comfortable that it could be seen by an unknown amount of people. And Twitter and X is a great example of this. When you post something on there, you have no idea sometimes who's going to see it. And I've had posts that have gotten, posts maybe that are like, okay, this is a cool post, put it out there. Hopefully it's fine. And it blows up to thousands and thousands of views. And you're like, okay, it wasn't supposed to go to that amount of people, but fine. So just keep that in mind as you're going through. The last kind of key topic I want to speak about here, because I want to give some time to go through the Q&A as well, or to go through the chat, is this concept of saying secure. And when I say secure, it's about privacy and access to our data. And this is different on many platforms. I'm not a cybersecurity expert. However, there are some basic concepts that I think platforms should have to ensure that not anyone can just get in and access our information. So a key example here is on Twitter. If you go to your settings, privacy here, go to privacy and safety, direct messages. Here you're able to adjust who's allowed to message you. And not every platform has this. On Twitter, you can adjust, you can completely turn off your DMs. And this is, again, based on your goal. If you're an influencer and you're trying to grow an account, maybe you want to keep the DMs open. But in doing that, you may open yourself up to receiving content, images, and messages that maybe you don't feel comfortable receiving. So it's about making sure you're able to manage that yourself. And in some other cases, there are platforms where you are able to completely turn it off. Facebook is pretty good for this at the moment. Instagram's a bit iffy on this. I think you can respond to people through their stories, their reels, their posts now. So it's so many ways to contact people on there. It's really important to consider this because a lot of the cyberbullying, a lot of the unsolicited messages tend to come through the DMs away from kind of the public eye. And that's not okay. And so it's really good there are some platforms out there which allow you to take a bit more control over it. And look, in an ideal world, the social media platforms do more. But unfortunately, in this case, they're just not there in some of these cases for us. So it's important to try to use these features while we have them. In terms of basic security, two-factor authentication, I'm pretty sure I'm preaching to the choir here because this is a group for creators and professionals, but that basically means that if someone knows my password and they try to access my account, I still need to verify that through an SMS code or with an authenticator app to verify that access. I think it happened to me, I think a few years ago now, where someone got my Facebook password and they logged in. I had the two-factor on it. And it kept saying someone from like Bangladesh was trying to access my account. And that's when I knew, okay, someone's trying to get in, I got to change that password. But thank God I had that authentication, that second step, because it prevented them from accessing the account and also made me aware that my password had been leaked somewhere or guessed somehow. So that's really important. My personal rule is I do not use a social media platform unless it has two-factor authentication in some way, because it's incredibly easy to guess passwords. And honestly, from my research, which I still didn't believe, the most common password to this day is 1234566 and the word password. That's still the most commonly used passwords in the world still. Yeah. So when I write here complex password, I really mean complex. Really put it out there. And yeah, I look back in my head at the old passwords I used to use back in the day, which were like very basic words, and now they're like insane with like question marks, apostrophes, numbers. Like it's too much. Third one here is the personal information: birthday, email, obviously your social security number, address, bank details, things like this. This is really important because this is all information that could be used to verify you. I remember there was a time where I called my bank and just giving them my birthday, email, and I guess part of my account number was probably enough to get in. This information has now become quite normally shared. I mean, on Twitter, people's birthdays are just there. On LinkedIn, our locations are just there and where we've lived. If you're posting something online that has anything to do with your address, maybe it's just not the best idea to do this anymore. And the last one here is around the password manager tools. So just went through that spiel with passwords. There are tools out there like LastPass and things like this, which are encrypted online password manager tools, which can help secure your accounts and give you some pretty complex passwords. But again, it's important to understand that no matter how much encryption there is or what tools are out there, there is always the opportunity for breaches to happen. So it's really important just to keep aware of who's accessing your account. If you see any suspicious behavior, content or messages that shouldn't be there, if you get emails saying that there's been an unverified attempt to access your account, it just may be a good idea to change the password to something else just in case, because it's really hard to know now. This next slide is one I added quite recently because I spoke to someone who loves to do live streaming. And I thought it was an interesting concept because live streaming has become very popular, from Instagram Live to TikTok Live, where you can do shopping now on live events on TikTok and all these things. It's very easy to go live, and you can go live within a couple of clicks on your phone now of your exact location. And I wanted to include this because it's important that obviously do your best to keep your location private. Obviously, if you're standing in front of the Eiffel Tower, it's pretty obvious where you are, and sure, go for it. That's fine. Don't hide the Eiffel Tower if that's what you want to show, but try to stream in a public area. Don't be isolated. Try not to be alone. If it's just you sitting in a park somewhere or sitting by a lake or river or on a street at a bar, try to avoid showing major monuments around you, like the name of the bar and things like this, if it's not your goal, because this literally is a live location of where you are physically. I remember when Snapchat a few years ago released a feature called Snapchat Maps, and the first iteration of this, basically you could open it up on the app and you'll see other Snapchat users' location in the area around you, like where they are like standing kind of, around you. And I found this to be a really incredible like breach of potential privacy and location issue, like when it comes to, you know, finding where people are. It was very easy to do. This has been fixed, but there's only so much a platform can do when you go live to protect your information. It's really important to do that for yourself. And the last one is to avoid obviously showing your address. I did an unboxing video about 10 years ago for a tech product I received. And I was like, cool, let's go live. I'm going to unbox this live. And I picked up the box. And I didn't realize that it had my address on the back of the box. And I was like, I needed to check that before I did. Nothing happened, but it really, you learn fast, like, okay, that's not good. So I wanted to include this because I know there's many creatives here that maybe do live streams, whether it's for yourself or for your company or for different agencies, just to keep this in mind. And there are personal privacy aspects to it, but also security aspects to it as well. So all this kind of wraps up to these two lines, which I hold really close to myself here. And that is, you deserve to feel safe online, and you deserve to have the experience that you want. And the reason why I don't focus these presentations on specific case studies like person is that we're all individuals here. And I think it's important to treat this challenge, this issue as an individual problem, not as like a one blanket fix all situation, because I don't want to hold people back from achieving their objectives when it comes to being online and being on social media. There's so many positives about creating content and interacting with people, sharing who you are, sharing your voice, standing up for things. And this has to stay strong because we're in a society that follows creators online now. However, I truly believe that we deserve to be able to do that in a safe way. And that safety it can be defined by you, and how you feel is completely valid when it comes to safety. That's why I don't focus it on specific things, because I want to treat you all as individuals and help you to achieve your goals here. If you want to discuss more, you can find me on I've got a website here, Your Social Safety. This is a passion project for me. There's no cost and things like that. It's just, please feel free to reach out if you want to discuss something offline, one-to-one. I've done sessions for individuals, for C-suite, for teachers, students, for classes, which have been really interesting. Teaching students and children in particular has been a fascinating experience, because I found that the teachers and the parents were more concerned than the children, which was interesting for me. But feel free to reach out, go to the website and send me an email. Happy to have a call or just exchange anything to help if I can't help here. This is a really big and personal topic to me, so I really appreciate that.